Hey everyone, I'm Brian Michael of Kenny's Cooks, and it's burger time.
Oh shit, hold on.
Oh,
Stay.
I'm definitely not going to give him the crazy eyes. It's
Wait,
burger time.
Wait for it. Hold on.
I don't.
Say it.
It's burger time.
That's it.
Okay, so let's talk about the beef. There's a lot of different fancy blends you can use to make an awesome burger. Our favorite base, regardless of anything else that goes into it, is we love to throw chuck into the mix just right off the bat. There's tons of fat in it just naturally, which is going to lead to a more enjoyable, juicy burger down the road. Now, a cut like chuck won't have a ton of gristle in it naturally, but we still want to be on the lookout for it while we're fabricating, just like we want to be on the lookout for silver skin, which you'll see me removing almost immediately. And then while we're going through everything, we also want to be on the lookout for bone fragments. Once you have the meat cleaned up, there's nothing left to it but to do it, so let's just start cutting it up into strips. Once you have everything trimmed up, ready to go, looking nice, just pop it in the freezer. Give it 15-20 minutes in there so it can firm up a little bit, and that's actually going to make the grinding process go a lot smoother too. While the meat is getting its beauty rest there in the freezer, let's talk about our toppings. To start shredding the lettuce, we need to take this bad boy and we got to split it down the middle. Once we now have our two halves, we're going to take whichever one, doesn't matter. Whichever one, call in your name. Now the goal here is to just shave it as thin as humanly possible. If you're uncomfortable using your chef's knife still, go slow. But I promise you, if you take the time and you give it a couple of reps, before you know it, you'll be an absolute lettuce slicing machine like I am. Or you'll be down a finger, either one, who knows. But just take your time and have fun with it, because I mean that's what cooking's all about. All right, and then we move on to tomatoes, right? Because would an American-style smash burger be complete without some juicy, bright red tomatoes on it? I don't think so. Once you've measured it out, like me right here, you can see I'm taking my sweet old time. What you don't hear is off camera is I'm actually asking T how thick he would like his tomatoes for the burger, and then we just move from there. But feel free to go as thick or thin as your heart desires with the tomato. Also, don't make the super rookie mistake I do and finish your slices. Slice all the way through. As you saw there before I threw them down into a neat pile, which must have been a fluke. Just make sure you finish your knife all the way through to the cutting board. Like that. See, that wasn't so hard. Why didn't I just do that the first time? Alright, anyways. Moving on to the mushroom prep. This one is not so difficult, especially when you're doing them in large batches. You apply a little bit of pressure to the stem in either direction, and then if it doesn't snap immediately, just go the opposite direction you were pushing initially, and it'll pop right out almost every time. And then you'll notice there's a common theme here. Just slice it however thick or thin you would like your mushrooms to be. Remember that when you cook them and they release their moisture, they're going to be maybe a fourth the size they were initially, if you're lucky. So it's a nice thing to keep in the back of your mind while you're prepping. And then when it comes to the onion, we trim them really thin, but I mean that's a thing of beauty there, huh? Who needs a mandolin? That's crazy. Cool. Now all the veg is ready to go for our burgers. So let's get to the most important part again, actually making the burgers. To do that, we're going to retrieve all of our meat grinder attachments from the freezer, as well as the beef that's been resting in there for about 15 or 20 minutes now, like we said earlier. And then we get into it and we assemble, and it's fast and easy, and it's not working with the, why isn't it?
One eternity later.
All right, cool. Once you seamlessly and effortlessly get it in, it's time to just go on with the rest of the attachments, which means we're going to go in with the worm, and then we're going to attach the blade, and then we're going to throw on a medium grind plate before closing it up, sealing it off, and then giving it a test to see if the actual parts or machine is running properly. And thankfully, this one is. Now that everybody is nice and relaxed and no longer angry, let's go on to grinding the meat. To begin, we're going to go in little by little just to kind of test out the machine. And it's running perfectly. And what is the most unnecessary of zoom-ins? All right, I see you. So you noticed earlier we threw everything into the freezer, now it's out, and now we're going, and you don't want to race through this at a dangerous pace, but you kind of want to work quickly here. The longer you have all of those parts out of the freezer, the warmer they'll get, and if you grind meat that is too warm, or you handle it too much, you'll actually start to melt the fat, which will end up giving you a less satisfying, grainy, or gritty texture in the final product. And if we're going to go through the process of grinding our own meat, that's something we just want to avoid. It's too much effort to be ruined by something so silly as just moving too slow. So for this one, we're going to start with 2 3-ounce meatballs. Using our handy dandy scale, we're just going to drop 3 ounces down before rolling them kind of loosely into a little ball and then moving them somewhere else while we finish measuring out everything else. Because the whole thing comes together very quickly, we're actually going to toast our buns at the same time we start cooking the actual patties. So we're going to get some butter down before we drop our nice brioche buns on there. Ideally here you would use parchment paper to prevent it from sticking to whatever you're smashing it down with, or you would oil the actual smashing device, whether it be a spatula or here we have one of the presses. But to keep oil down in the finished product, for us, we just skip that step, so it's perfectly fine to just have another spatula nearby to scrape if necessary. If, for whatever reason, it either sticks to your smasher, it sticks to the surface, and it pulls apart a little bit, don't worry about it. You can just push it back together. It's going to sear just as well. And when you flip it, you can fix all your damages with some nice melty American cheese. And boom, everything is right in the world. Now comes for the most fun part, honestly, and that is assembly. For this, we're going to start, obviously, with our toasted buns. So we're going to get those down before hitting them with our condiments. Because this is a true American-style smash burger, we're going to go in first with some mayo. I said we're going to go in first with some mayo. All right, there we go. Jesus. Then we're going to follow it up with some ketchup. And last but not least, we're going to hit it with some yellow mustard. Good stuff. Give the board a quick wipe with your bare paws there. Just bare hand that for no reason. You didn't make the board look any better. And then we're going to come through with our hand-shredded iceberg lettuce from earlier. Followed by our thinly sliced red onion. A couple massive chunks of our sliced tomato. And then the star of the show, the dang juicy burger. Then we don't pop the lid on it? And then, you know what? Actually, we're going to pop the lid on this thing. Eventually. Beautiful. There we go. And then let's move on into the patty melt. Which starts with 1 instead of 2 patties. We're just going to do one larger one. And we're going to go for 1/3 of a pound, 6 ounces. To get this one started, because we decided to go mushroom and Swiss, we're going to get some mushrooms and onions down to saute. And then after we get a little bit of color starting to develop on them, we're going to slide them over to the cooler side of the plancha, or flat top. And just like before, we're going to come straight down on this one, pressing equally. It's stuck a little bit again, but it's fine, because just like earlier, we give it a little bit of a scrape, and then we're off to the races. Seasoning one side of this one. Just like earlier, we're going to hit it with some salt and some pepper. And then we're going to take our seedless rye. We're going to spread a little bit of butter on both sides, put some Swiss cheese in the center. We're going to let it cook for a second, get it nice and golden brown. Now this is, without a doubt, the easiest, and I would consider this the cheater's method to making the perfect patty melt. So it starts with the burger over in one corner, and then we essentially make a grilled cheese on one side of it. And when the grilled cheese is getting ready to be flipped or almost done, or the cheese starts melting, we're actually going to pull it apart and then place our burger inside of it. Now, that's a damn good looking grilled cheese. But how do we make a grilled cheese better? Easy, like I said, we're going to pull it apart. And then we drop the burger in. This is a big mistake on my part here. I would definitely recommend putting it on the part that still needs to be toasted. But you'll see that I don't do that. And then if you end up following in my footsteps and doing it this way, it's fine. Just with confidence, you're going to get underneath the sandwich, and you're going to give it a good old flipperino. Boom. Gorgeous. Perfect dismount. 10 out of 10. And then we're going to give it a crisp test. Yeah, that boy crispy. And then let's go in for the cross section. Let's take a look at that, and we think it's absolutely killer. Like that was an awesome patty melt. Now, these are two of our favorite ways to make smash burgers. There's dozens of other methods. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of different varieties. These are just two of the more essential ones you should have in your repertoire. That once you get these two down, that's when you actually get to start branching out and playing around, making your own versions. So, thanks for watching. We appreciate you tuning in, checking out what it is we're doing here, and we'll catch you in the next one.